Hello everyone and welcome to Mr. Walker, Professional Problem Solver. Fancy title, right? I like to think of myself as a professional problem solver because, well, I kind of am, right? And to be honest, you guys are too. We've been doing a lot of work this year throughout different lessons on not only learning some math concepts, but how we can apply those concepts to solve problems. And that's exactly what we're going to be doing here today. We're going to be solving some multi-step word problems, and we're going to be kind of talking about the reasonableness of our answers, like whether or not our answers can really be right. And we're going to use some like benchmark numbers and different things like that to help us out. So we got a lot going here today. And you might look and see and go, oh man, word problems, multi-step problems, that's no fun. But to be honest, it's skills that we already have. We just have to kind of think our way through and apply those problem-solving strategies, and you'll see that it's really not as difficult as we might make it out to be, okay? So let's go ahead and take a look at our first example. I want you guys to take a second and just read this out loud. Read it to yourself. See what kind of meaning you get out of it, and then we're going to read it together and talk about it. All right, great. So this one says, in a race, the second place finisher crossed the finish line at 1 1/3 minutes after the winner. The third place finisher was 1 3/4 minutes behind the second place finisher, and the third place finisher took 34 2/3 minutes. How long did the winner take? So there's definitely a lot going on in that problem, and as you can see, we're dealing with fractions, okay? But I don't want that to throw you off right away. If it helps you just to think of this like objectively and not get worried about the fractions, just think of it as whole numbers here, right? So the first place finisher crossed the line 1 minute after the winner. The third place was 1 minute behind the second place winner, and the third place finisher was 34 minutes behind. So that can help us to just visualize things, and then we can come back and take a look at the fractions later if we need to. But I'm going to go ahead right here, and I'm going to highlight what the actual question is. So I want you guys to do the same thing. What is the actual question? Tell me what that is, and then we'll come back and talk about it. All right, awesome. So the question is asking us, what it's actually asking us is how long did the winner take? So that's what we want to know. And if I go through here, well, it tells me a little bit about the second place finisher. He crossed the line here, the third place finisher here, and the third place here, but it doesn't tell me anything about the winner, right? So that's not really going to help me, so I got to figure out what it is I need to do. So to me, just like every other problem-solving thing I tackle, I like to start by drawing pictures, okay? And I might start by just drawing like the regular tape diagrams, but if you guys aren't huge fans of that, I would recommend using it because it would help you out. But if it helps you draw like pictures, draw pictures. Just draw like circles or dots or draw people running across finish lines. It doesn't really matter as long as you're getting your ideas down, okay? So let's think about this. We don't know how long the winner took, right? So I'm just going to draw like a rectangle here to represent the first place finisher. We don't know how long he took. Again, we're not really sure how long this took, so I'm just going to put a question mark here. It does say the second place finisher crossed the finish line 1 1/3 minutes after the winner. So our second place finisher is going to take as long as the first place finisher did, right? Plus a little bit more, which is that 1 1/3 minutes after the winner. So I'm going to go ahead and label this right here as 1 1/3. Because that's how much more time it took the second place finisher. Okay, easy enough. And then it said the third place finisher was 1 3/4 minute behind the second place finisher. So if I were to draw my third place finisher, something like this, I want to make sure he's the same as the second place to start off. Right, so this would be my third place guy here, or girl. And he took 1 3/4 minutes behind the second place. So I know he's going to take 1 3/4 minute longer. So 1 3/4, that's what that little piece is going to be. All right, and that's my third place guy or girl. All right, easy enough. So first place, we don't know, but we know that second place took as long as the first place finisher plus this 1 1/3. And then our third place finisher took at least as long as the second place finisher plus 1 3/4. Okay, and then look here. If we come up here, it does say that the third place finisher took 34 2/3 minute. So we actually know a distance for that. We know how much time, I should say, that it took for them to finish. So we know that this right here is 34 2/3 minutes. All right, how does that help us out? What can we do now that we have this picture? So how does that help us out? What can we do now that we have this picture to help us solve this problem? Can we start to piece things together? And if so, how would you do that? All right, so I heard some good ideas out there. So let's think about this now. Our third place finisher took 34 and 2/3 of a minutes to finish the race. That's how long third place took. Second place took about this long right here, right? From here to here. So that much of the 34 and 2/3 of a minute. Didn't take all of it, took that much of it. How much less is that? Right, it's that 1 3/4 less. So the second place finisher took 34 and 2/3 of a minute minus 1 3/4 of a minute. So let's go ahead and write that out. So our second place finisher, I'm just going to label this over here second place. They took 34 and 2/3 minus 1 3/4. So that would tell us what the second place finisher took. Because they didn't take the whole amount, the third place finisher took 1 3/4 of a minute longer than our second place finisher. So if we took what the third place finisher, the time that they took, and subtract 1 3/4, we should be able to get our answer. So can I subtract these two numbers? No, I can't, can I? Because our denominators are different. Our pieces are different. So I want to get them to the same denominator. So I have to think of a multiple of 3 and a multiple of 4 that I could use to get my numbers to be the same. So I like to rewrite things this way just to make it a little bit easier. 34 and 2/3 and 1 3/4. So I want to change them both to the same denominator. So let's think about that for a second. Well, we know after using those models where we drew the lines through the rectangles and then matched them up, we know we could just multiply our denominators right off the bat to find a common denominator. So I'm going to do 3 times 4, 2 times 4. I'm going to do 4 times 3 and 3 times 3. So if I do that, 2 times 4 will give me 8. 3 times 4 will give me 12. So my new number would be 34 and 8/12. And down here, if I did 3 times 3 would give me 9. 4 times 3 would give me 12, so my denominators are the same. So this would be 1 and 9/12. Easy enough so far. So let me kind of rewrite and rearrange some things here. First, I'm going to subtract my 1 from my 34, so that would give me 33 and 8/12 minus, well, we subtracted the 1 already, so I don't have to worry about that, but minus 9/12. Now, I can't really take 9 away from 8, right? I don't have enough pieces. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna think of this 33 here. I'm gonna take 1 whole from that, okay? So 1 whole from 33 could be the same as 12/12, right? 12/12 would be the same as 1 whole. So if I took that away, that would change my 33 to a 32. And I could add that 12/12 onto the 8/12 that I already have, which would give me 20/12. So I would have 32 and 20/12 minus 9/12. Basically, I did that because my 8 wasn't big enough, right? I can't subtract 9 from 8. So I had to borrow 1 whole from here, which I wrote as 12/12, add it to my 8/12, that gave me 20/12. So now I can subtract. 20 minus 9 would give me 11/12, and I would keep my 32, nothing else to subtract there, so we would be good to go. So that means that our second place finisher, second place guy here, took 32 and 11/12 minutes to finish the race. So are we done? No, because we want to know how long did the winner take. So let's look at the winner here. The winner took the same amount as the second place finisher minus 1 1/3. He was less than that, right? So minus 1 1/3. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm going to get rid of some of this so I have some more space to work. You guys don't ever have to erase your work because I'd love to see all of it. So I'm just doing it because I have limited space on this board, obviously. So we know our second place finisher took 32 and 11/12 minutes. First place finisher took that same amount minus this little piece right here, which would be 1 1/3, and that should tell us how much our first place winner, how long they took, right? So let's get some common denominators going here. First, let me subtract my whole numbers. So I would be left with, let's see, 31 11/12, and I subtracted the 1, so I don't got to worry about that anymore. So I would just have 1/3. Cool. So let's see, what is common between these two guys here? What's a multiple of 3 and a multiple of 12 that they both have in common? So let's think about this now. Oh, what about 12, right? So I could leave this guy essentially the same, 31 11/12. If I wanted to get my 3 to something out of 12, I have to do 3 times 4 to get 12. 1 times 4 would be 4. So now I'm subtracting 31 11/12 minus 4/12. So I can do that pretty quickly. 11 minus 4 would be 7. So 31 7/12 would be how long our first place finisher took. So we'll say 31 7/12. So there were a lot of steps involved here, right? First, we had to find out what the second place finisher took. We had to find some common denominators. We had to work our way through that way. So a lot of steps there, but you guys did well and you persevered through this. A lot of the practice opportunities that you're going to have today are going to be very similar to this. You're going to have to break down the problem. You're going to have to draw out a tape diagram. You're going to have to draw out something to help you see what it is you actually need to do. So go through this today, practice with it. Please let me know if you have any questions, comments, or concerns. As always, I thank you guys for watching, and I wish you good luck problem solving.